Hi everybody. Today we're going to teach you guys how to do buttonhole on the Necchi Supernova. This is part 2. The first video I showed you how to set up your buttonhole, how to do the measurements and all of that. So with this video we're just going to assume that the measurements are already on here. Here's the buttonhole that I made. I just made, and we're going to, this is the finished product, okay? You just have to make a slit in here, and then your buttonhole will start to work. So first things first, when you're doing a buttonhole, you're going to need a presser foot that's going to allow the needle to go back and forth. They call it a zigzag. This particular foot, they have Supernovas come with buttonhole foots. They also come with something called a satin foot, but you can use any foot as long as it allows the needle enough space, wide space in between here to go back and forth, okay? Here's another foot. It is not, it's not see-through, but same thing. It'll do the job. It's got the wide space here so that the needle can go back and forth. So either one will do your buttonhole. So we'll screw that in. Okay. Now, one other thing, because we want the stitches to be close together, when you're doing your buttonhole, you need the stitch length to be close to 0. Not 0, because if you put it on 0, it'll just sew in one place. It won't go down, okay? So let's just put it slightly in between the half mark and 0. So it'll sew like this as opposed to sewing like this. Okay? You get the idea. Okay. And for this particular lever, we want it all the way over to the far left. I'll show you how to do that in case you don't know. These screws, we'll unscrew them. So let's say it was over here, but we want it to go all the way over. So we'll simply move it on over, okay? And so that it doesn't come back over here, we'll take this lever, corresponding to here, we'll push this all the way over too, put it up right up against, and we will tighten these screws. So it's all the way over here, all right? So let's get started. Take the fabric, put it in. Oh, one other thing, the most important thing, I'm sorry, the cam. The Necchi Supernova uses cams for some specialty stitches, and the buttonhole is a specialty stitch. So here's the cam that you're going to use. I'll put it back in. This is what the cam looks like for the Necchi Supernova. It may look this way for others. And as you can see, there's a picture on the side here of a buttonhole. So you know exactly what it's used for. So, top of the machine, we'll open it up. Now the cam goes right in here. Sorry about the filming. Keep on apologizing for that. The cam goes right on in here, just like this. But let's say that you couldn't put it in like this. Let's say it wouldn't go on easily. Most likely, it's because this lever on the outside here is probably locked in place flush towards the machine. So what we'll do is we'll pull that lever out. When we do that, at the same time, this piece here that holds the cam into place will move upwards to allow space for the cam. So let's do that again. Move the lever up, okay, all the way over as far as it'll go. It gives space for the cam, and so we'll put it right on in. And what we'll do is we'll do it so that it's centered, and let's see see if you can see the little groove. There's a little groove right in here. I believe this says, looks like it says Italy. I'm not sure. But there's a groove where when you pull the lever back, it should fit right into that groove. Now, if it doesn't, move the cam so that it does. It goes backwards, it goes to the not backwards, it goes to the right, it goes to the middle, it also goes to the left. But the initial position is centered in that little Italy groove, and that's where the first stitch will start. Okay? So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to make about 3 stitches. Okay. Maybe that was a little more. Now, for the second part, we're going to take the cam lever. We're going to push it over to the left. Okay, and I'll pretend like I already made the measurement. Now, when the cam lever is pulled over to the left, what it's doing is it is stitching the left side of the buttonhole. Okay, so we stitch the left side of the buttonhole as long as we want it. Okay, so now the next part, we're going to move the lever over to the center again. Oh. Push it over to the right. Let's pull it back to the center. Okay. Goes right back into that Italy groove. Okay. Then we'll sew it maybe 5 or 6 times. Okay. Now the next part will be the right side of the buttonhole, so we will bring the lever all the way to the right. Now it stitches backwards. We stop at our marker for the end of the buttonhole, right where we started, and then one last part, which is the tacking portion. We move it back to the center and we stitch it a couple more times. So now it's tack. Okay, so we pull it out, do our cutting, and there we have the buttonhole. Now, some people, they like to use a seam ripper in order to cut the hole in the center. I don't really like using a seam ripper because you can literally go in there, cut it all the way, and force it, and then go beyond the buttonhole and cut the buttonhole. I don't like to do that. If I do use a seam ripper, what I will do is I will take the seam ripper, I will push it all the way through the buttonhole, but then I don't know if you can see this. I push it all the way through the buttonhole, okay, to the other side. And then I will push the seam ripper through a portion of the button, not all the way to the end, but a portion of it, and then I will slit it all the way through. Now when I do that, I create a small hole right here, which you can take a smaller pair of scissors, maybe snippets, and you'll be in control, little at a time, without cutting the sides, so that it's a nice even slit. The stitches on the sides are not cut, because you actually can cut through them with a seam ripper if you're not in total control. The method that I just showed you allows you to have absolute control as to how big that buttonhole is actually going to be. Okay, so you cut off the extra, the stragglers as I call them, and there's your buttonhole. Hope you like it, and if you do, subscribe, and any questions, feel free to ask, and have a great day, and thank you for watching.